1992 Jeep YJ. I bought. This is the damage. We are switching up vehicles once more. I'm gonna have to shut the old Dodge truck down to do some work to it, but before we can do that, we need an extra vehicle. I'm currently down a vehicle, which drives me crazy because there's always somebody needing one, and you just never know what happens. But this is what we're going to be working on today. 1992 Jeep YJ. I bought this back early in the season, and it needs a little love. It's far from perfect. Seems to run good. Let me show you what we got. All right, it's not perfect. It's got this big old cow pusher bumper thing on here that somebody's bolted and welded. It's had a spring over axle style lift built into it. Still sporting the stock axles. I think these are 35-inch tires. Yeah, 35, 12.5, 15s. They're in pretty good shape. I don't believe they're dry rotted from when I looked at them last, but they are starting to check just a little bit. The frame, surprisingly, is in pretty decent shape, with the exception of back here, which is a common spot. So this is one of the things we're going to attempt to fix today. I do have a hardtop for it, sitting over in my woodshed. Floors are pretty good in it. You get the door open here. It's not adjusted exactly right. This side's decent all the way back, as far as I can tell. Seems to be in pretty decent shape. This is the side that's had some repair. Somebody's done some half-baked repair with really thick material. We're not going to really worry about that. We are going to have to do something with the seat. It's moving around way too much. The seats are terrible. They sit terrible. This is an air-conditioned model. 134,000 miles. Seems like everything functions mostly as it should. But there again, we're dealing with some frame repair. And the other thing is, let me show you, that metal pan that's supposed to hold the fuel tank in is obviously completely rusted out. Hence the fuel tank straps there. This thing rides like a log wagon. It rides terrible compared to my other Jeep. But you can see they put some square tubing over there, spring over axle, quick lift. They got at least 2 anti-wrap bars. Let me show you that. Not really sure why they need 2 of these. I guess it works. The underbody is okay. It's not great. It was being wheeled. The major issue right now is the severe oil leak. You're gonna have to fix that. And we got some other little things that we need to address to try to make this thing a little more roadworthy. And try not to get too far into it, but I'm afraid if I ignore it too much longer, it's only going to get worse really fast, especially the way it rides and the amount of driving that's going to have to be done until my Dodge is fixed. So that's where we're at. This is the Sahara version. So as you may have already seen, it does have a 5-speed manual transmission. Let me get this open here. And the infamous 4.0 inline 6-cylinder, which seems to run really well, but it's got a nasty exhaust leak. I'll show that to you later. So without further ado, first big step is I'm going to spray it down with some cleaner, try to degrease this thing to some degree. Pressure wash it, which is a bad idea because it's right at that freezing temp. But it should help, especially since I'm going to have to pull that transmission transfer case to fix that rear main seal. So let's get started. Sprayed down with some good old Purple Passion concentrate. We're going to let that soak while we get the pressure washer set up. See if we can degrease this thing, make it a little more pleasant to work on. And I'll get back to you. That is off it. Obviously it's on me now. We're going to let this drip dry outside and give it just like an hour maybe. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull it into the garage. And maybe I'll have plan A, B, C, subject to change. That is where we are. All right, finally got a little bit of good news. I do have the Jeep in the garage. Currently got some heat on, so that's good. Warm it up in here just a little bit, make it a little more comfortable, if you will. Creature of habit or creature of comforts. It won't be great, but it's not bad outside, so it won't take a whole lot on the inside. Anyway, as I was saying, the good news, let me show you what I found out. So, on these Jeep 4.0s, that thing right there, that's your oil pressure sending unit. That is the reason I'm getting all that oil. It is literally leaking through the plug, which means it must be a bad seal inside the pressure switch itself. So that's fantastic. Pretty easy to fix. I had to order one, unfortunately, and it won't be here until, I don't know, sometime this afternoon. But at least I'm able to get it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to the back, look to see what it's going to take to drop the fuel tank, get it out of the way, and then I can look and evaluate the rear frame section and see how much work I've got ahead of myself on getting that taken care of. You know, welding and fabrication, which is part of it. When you own a Jeep, you're going to have to do stuff. All right, update. Fuel tank is coming down. I got to disconnect the two lines up in there. I'm going to dry them off, mark one of them so I know which one it is. Disconnect the plug up there. And I think this thing is ready to come the rest of the way down. And we'll evaluate the extent of that mess. So that's where we are at. Fuel tank is out. This is the damage. As you can see, we're going to have to replace at least up to here. Probably get underneath here with a needle descaler, knock off some of the heavier rust flakes. The massive oil leak that it had has kind of protected a lot of what was originally here as far as the body. I have to do something about plugging the inlet and fuel inlet and vent up. As you can see, we got a big hole up in here, another one there. Probably gonna have to do some repair work up to this point, and that is the gist of it. It'd be nice if I could remove this, which I'm not sure if I'll be able to. It kind of looks like it might be welded to it, or was at some point. You see this conglomeration of a mess from this homemade reinforced bumper section. I thought this section was removable, but it's so hard to tell. It looks like maybe it got welded. There's a bolt hole there, so it should, I would think, at least at one time, and from working on the other one, it came apart to some degree. See if the bolts will come undone on the body. I hate to open up that can of worms, but it will make working on this frame a lot easier. Then I'm gonna see if I can't clean and rust protect On a positive note, the fuel lines are stainless, minus the little sections of rubber. So I feel better about that. And the guy had told me he put brake lines on, so that's good. On the back it's copper nickel. Going forward it looks like it's metal, so that's not great. It's not ran the bestest perfect way. We'll see if we can do anything with that. And then, I don't know if I told you guys this or not, but the rear has an air locker, which is installed and functioning. So that's a bonus. I knew that when I bought it. Probably ought to do something with the exhaust here. And then it looks like that bump stop has separated. So maybe we'll do something with that. And then at some point we're going to need to evaluate that transfer case. It's been apart because there's silicone just seeping out of everywhere on it. Pretty dirty job, really. Unprofessional. Just saying. Oh, man. All right, that's where we're at. I have to see if the CJ7, I don't want to put the fuel tank in it, but I'd like to put the skid plate on it, and I don't know if it's going to fit. I'm just going to try it and see what happens. There is a little bit of a difference. This is held down. This fuel tank is held down by one strap. One had two straps, so they may not be as similar as I was hoping for, which is a bummer because that's what I was going to use to fit it. I really don't want to have to make one from scratch just because of the time it's going to take. I would like this thing up and functional, hopefully dependable, and so I can start driving it. All right, next step is we're going to go ahead and remove these wheels. We could use the extra space. So let's get these off. Be good to have this thing on the road. I really hated it just sitting over there, but you know how it goes. One project takes precedence over another. And we may take this one on a trip this year. Not sure yet. Was hoping to go out west and take the other Jeep. The one that took me 2 years to get to where it's at. Whoop. I'm playing that out very well. We'll see. This one's got a lot of potential as well. I don't know how flexible this homemade lift's going to be, but if we take a trip to Colorado, which is what we were thinking, it might do okay there. We'll see. We'll just have to see how well it does. Anyway, I did also notice, well, I was reminded when I saw it, is the guy I bought it off of, he had also installed Yukon axle shafts on this stock Dana, I don't know what it is, a 30, whatever a stock Wrangler rear axle is. So that should give it a little bit of an advantage over a stock one, along with that locker. Anyway, let's get the other wheel off. As you can see, pretty tight quarters in here. Should be enough room to do the work on the axles. On the frame, I mean. And when I go looking for those later, remind me they're there. Get these rolled outside, out of the way. Alright, let's see if this one fits. There we go. It's a good sign. Let's go with the other side. Alright, let's see if we can get this side. Good sign. And that bolt moved. Switch sockets and we'll see if we can get that bolt back out of there. Oh, just kidding, it's the same size. Good sign. There's one. Back to the other side. Got that one to come out. Had to tap it a little bit with a hammer. Then I was able to take it out with the impact. Buzzed it on out of there. So, a couple more jack stands. See how much it lowers first. The shocks may hold it. See how much movement we got. Looks like we got a vent we need to disconnect. And I think we're good to drop it down some more. See what it's going to take to get that off there. Well, I put wrinkles in my head. Got an update for you guys. Things have evolved. They've gotten worse. As expected. Alright, as expected, things just went south. I knew it was going to as soon as I started in on it. I was trying to get ahead of the issue. Anyway, I haven't even began to start the repair on the frame yet. Because I had this wild hair, I had this brainstorm of going, you know, since we're here, you all know how that goes. All the body bushings are shot, so hey, we'll just go ahead and order some new body bushings. And well, new body bushings? Well, on a Jeep, if you can gain a little bit of working space, then it's not a bad idea to go ahead and do it. So I thought I'll order some 1-inch bodies, a 1-inch body lift. Right? So as expected, I broke pretty much every body bolt, but maybe 2. And now there's 2 of them that I can't even get out because it's those weld nuts on the inside of a cage. So now I'm going to get a torch out, blow those out. And then the one front body mount, right dead center of the front grille, it's underneath this big old contraption of a front piece of plate of a bumper section thing that some hilljack, just like myself, decided they would weld in, which left it pretty much unserviceable. And that one broke also. Go back and I'm going to make some sort of weld-in nut certs or inserts. I'll figure out something there. I may do a caged version, something where I've got a little bit of room for movement, lining everything back up a little easier. I'll kind of work on that on the fly adjust as necessary, maybe adjust a couple of times, depending on how well it goes. One way may work better than the other, so I really don't know until I get into it. And but that's the plan for now. I've got to get that fuel leak stopped over here. It's dripping. That's not going to be good to have down here while slinging sparks all over the place. That might get a little too interesting. But that's the plan for underneath here. All right, now that the crying's over, I got all the tears sopped up. Back at it. Got a plan. Here's the plan. So I'm going to have to replace this whole rear section here, or at least 90% of it. Part of which, unfortunately, is thinned out through a big hole also through here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Which means this is in the way for the repair. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sawzall and I'm just going to cut this loose from the frame. I'm just going to zip it right through. Same thing over here. I think you guys can see that. This up through here. We're just going to zip it out. We're going to take this whole section out right here. Then that'll allow me plenty of space to get in here and reconstruct this frame rail, making it obviously a lot better than what it is. That should buy me some time. And then once, let's see, probably, I don't know, I don't want to wait till spring, but I really don't want this to drag out for weeks and weeks. So what I'm probably going to do is just do some makeshift treating. I'll needle to scale all the rust that I can get. Clean all that up with some wire wheels and stuff. And I'm going to go back in and probably just put some coating on it to make it good enough. Same thing through here. I'm going to treat as much as the frame as I can, everything that I can reach without pulling the body off. And then what I may do is next winter is I'll do a complete tear down. I'll just, if I still have it, I'll pull the body off, treat the frame, all that fun stuff, and we'll make it more gooder, they would say. But the elephant in the room really is all of this. I need to make this structurally sound again. Because of most of the body mount bolts breaking, I'm going to have to get creative and on the repairs. Now, I wouldn't encourage you guys to do this on a Jeep you're trying to restore. But since I'm going to be doing it in place, basically I'm just going to cut holes into the body. If I can, I'm going to do it from down below. And then I'll go back. Next plan, or the next phase I'm going to go ahead and try to do, or the next phase of this build, is I'm going to go ahead and remove the seats. Front and rear. I got to do some repair. We got some bad spots in the floor here where somehow the seats have started to pull through. We'll do a patch repair on that. The other side, somebody's done a floor repair. Let me show it to you. It's not the best, but it's going to get me by. I hate to redo it, but it's way thicker plate than what it needs to be. I'm not going to knock on them because, I mean, I've done similar stuff. It's just very unfortunate. I may have a pan. I don't know, because it's just going to continue to get worse. You know what I mean? But anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to get all the seats out of here. I'm going to get what's left of the carpet. I'm going to pull that out. Let's see, the roll cage is probably going to come out. And then I'm going to figure out what to do with the floor. I'll better address this section once everything's cleared out and cleaned out. And I think I'm going to throw in a whole bunch of sound deadening mat. I'd like to be able to drive this thing through winter. I know it's kind of counterproductive, especially if there's going to be any wheeling in it. I don't intend to play in the mud, but if we get rain or water in here, it needs to be able to drain out, so I have to consider all that as well. My busy schedule, I'm only going to be able to work on it for a couple hours in the evenings. So I got to piecemeal this thing a little at a time. Hopefully it won't take me more than a couple of weeks. I hope it doesn't take that long, but I'm going to be realistic. With the holidays coming up, I'm not gonna have a lot of time there either. But let's just get into it. Let me see if I got any Sawzall blades to cut that one cross member out. If I don't, I guess I'll be going to town to get some. Alright, next step is this homemade hitch. It needs to come off. It's all bent anyway. It's got this whole thing bent. It needs to come off and get out of the way. And then I got to figure out what it's going to take to remove this back section. So first step is to remove this homemade hitch thing. And then I'm going to see what it's going to take to remove this tail end section, because it's kind of in the way. I don't have a good feeling about it, because it looks like somebody welded it directly to that cap piece that goes back here. If that's the case, I'm going to have to probably remake that whole thing. But let's unbolt and evaluate. As you can see, I trimmed the exhaust off. It was kind of just dumping right underneath here. It was in my way. I needed the extra space. So I did lop that off there. Alright, so that there is the brace that was underneath. It goes roughly in this location. Show you where I'm at. So roughly in that general area. In between the frame rails. Get down here where I can show you. Oh lordy. Hang in there. Alright, so you can see there where I cut it off. Same thing here. Yep. Right there, you can see the remnants of that piece. There's my fuel lines. That's where they naturally bend inward. Then they come up over that brace with some rubber lines and then tie into the fuel tank. So this frame rail intersection, driver's side, doesn't look too bad, but it is ate up back here by the bushing. And it's got a pretty good hole right there underneath, and it sounds pretty thin. Obviously this one's in worse condition, so I think I'm going to cut it back. Somewhere probably right in front of where that brace was. And I've got me a template made up. I'm going to salvage those bushing sleeves, so I don't have to try to make them. I don't have to try to order them or find them. And they're already polished on the ID, so I'll just cut those out at the, later after I get these sections cut out and my new sections fabricated. Then I'll recycle those. I got the hitch off there. That gave me some fight. Only a couple bolts came out. The rest of them I had to cut off, but they're out of there. This thing here is bent. As you've probably seen in the earlier shots or video, it needs to come off there. It needs to be redone. I don't have that fully worked out, but I got an idea. And here is my template. This should work both inside and outside of the frame rail. On both sides, they should be symmetrical in that section. Let me get it stuck back where I made the template from, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, this is where it's going to go. See that hole there? The spot for the bushing. Of course, it'll be. I'll finesse it, and then I got to make it a little longer back there. I'll kind of guesstimate that when it's time. We are making progress. This is pretty close. Looks like I'm going to have to make it about a 1/4 inch longer to eliminate the remainder of that piece. And we are happening. Then what I'll do is once the outer, inner, and bottom are made, I'll decide how I'm going to proceed forward. If I'm going to try to save the upper, save up here, because it's probably thicker than all the rest, being that it didn't have debris laying against it. So I may be able to reuse that and then build a 3-sided deal, kind of like what you would find online that you could order. And when that's all said and done, I'll make another plate to help carry the load that will wrap around this inside and out. And it'll sandwich to the outside and to the inside. And I'll weld that, and that'll help distribute the load, making it all nice and strong, where I'll have no worries there. And that's how it's going to work. Everybody, is going to be it for tonight. It's late. It's like 10:30. I've got things I got to do in the morning. So I'll get back to this tomorrow afternoon. Welcome back. New day. Early afternoon. Getting back on the Jeep project, the 92YJ, doing the rear frame horn section repair. Let me show you what I've got going on so far. Alright, we've got our templates. This should work both inside and outside on the frame. The only difference being this one oblong hole. This is the bushing support. What do you want to call that? Bushing sleeve, if you will. So I think I'm going to piecemeal this thing in. I'm going to get these cut and prepped. Then I'm going to go to the back of it. I've already got it marked where I'm going to cut it there. I'll get those sections cut out, both on the inside of each frame rail. I'll tack these. I'll prep the inside of these. I'm going to do some preventative maintenance and try to get some paint on it to try to slow down the obvious problems here in central Indiana with rust. So anyway, I'm going to get these all cut and prepped. Get the inside of the frames, those sections cut out. Then I'm going to tack these in place. After that, I'm going to go to the outside of the frame. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make me 2 more templates. I'm going to prep those, tack those into place. Once I'm happy with that stuff, the dimensions all holding up, I'm going to cut the lower section of the frame, which holds all the debris, which I guarantee is a lot thinner than the top. Right now the plan is to save the top. And then once all that's accomplished, the plan will be to add a reinforcement plate, if you will, over that splice section in the frame, helping spread out the load. And that'll make it stronger than what it's been dealing with. Who knows how long I've been driving around like that. And I've done this successfully. If you watch the Colorado video, you're going to see a similar version of that back in one of my early videos where I completely rebuilt like 8 foot of frame section on that thing. So I'm confident this is going to work. But anyway, let me get set up, get these pieces all cut up and cut out, and maybe we'll get some new pieces put back in. Pieces are prepped for going into place. What this does is kind of add some extra protection on the inside of the frame rail, which is where the painted section is going to go. And I can obviously address the painted side or the outside of the frame afterwards, after it's all welded in and ready to go. But these pieces are ready. Time to move back to the back of the frame and start cutting those sections out. Gotta get that bushing out of there. There we go. That's one. Alright, wanted to show you what's going on. See, we've cut this intersection out, both sides. As you can see there, we're going to clean that up, get that new piece that we just cut and cleaned a while ago, start tacking it into place, and once it's all tacked in, we'll go back and start focusing on the outside. Everything snowballs on a rusted vehicle. This is that cross member I cut out from the inside the frame rail. As you can see where the body bushings go, this was all deteriorated, so I'm going to make a new upper section here. I'll do some patchwork to that there. Same thing over here. I still have enough of the old hole that I've got that I can match that up. So I'm just going to lop this top section off because it's kind of sandwiched. It doesn't really do anything that I'm aware of. Not sure why. I'll probably put that hole back in it as a precaution. Just because I'm not sure what goes there. I'll fill this in with a piece of something. And then, like I said, I'm going to make a whole new upper plate. Once that's done, I'll get some paint on it. That way when it goes underneath, it's in good shape. The old bushings cleaned up. Should work out pretty good. Just kind of recycled them. Save me time and money. Got to do that where I can. And I think it's going to work just fine. See what's going on. Stuff this piece up in here. Hopes that it's going to fit okay. Thought it was closer than that. There we go. tack on it. Side fit in. Go ahead and try to weld some of it. Be a little more of a task than I thought it was going to. We are back, everybody. It's been a week, I'll be honest with you. Unfortunately, I ended up coming down with a head cold, and it pretty much knocked me out. So I've been working on trying to get myself better so I could be more efficient out here. That, and I still, as I've mentioned before, I have a full-time job. So anyway, I got to be healthy enough for that. I've got some pieces and parts marked out that's going to get cut. The last update, I believe I showed you some of the welding I did in the back. These pieces are going to cap the outside of those frames, or the outside of the frame horns. We still got some work to do on that, right? So I got to get in there. I got to cut out some bad spots. I got to get in there and wire wheel the whole thing. And I'm going to try to treat it with some sort of paint, which is going to make it, tougher to weld on. But it'll give some protection in between the layers, and that's really what needs to be done. Once that's mostly dry enough to deal with, I'll get in there and we'll put these new frame sections on, get them all tacked into place. The plan is to get those welded out, cleaned up, possibly some paint on them, and then we have that cross member that goes in there as well, so we'll have to get that back in place, located, put back in place. And I have a couple small repairs I got to do to those as well, or do to that as well. Enough about that. Let me show you guys what I've got laid out, and then I'm going to get my equipment set up, and I'm going to start cutting and cleaning, and we'll move on from there. Here, some of you, if you've done any body mounts, bushing, replacements, you've got these, I don't even know what you call them. Unfortunately, the kit that I bought does not come with new ones. They sold these separate, or they sell them separate. These are the ones that were out of the Jeep. They're like a gold zinc coated, I don't know, some sort of coating on them, and it had deteriorated, and they were starting to rust pretty heavily. So I knocked all the heavy scale off, at least the first 4, because those are the only ones I've been able to get out. And obviously you can see I've cleaned them up and thrown some paint on them to try to make them last a little while. Over here on top of my trash can workbench, this is the, well, let me move it. This is that cross member that's got to go back in there. I showed you I cut that out earlier. These pieces here, 1 and 2, are going to replace this little flap section here, so I'll just cut this, clean that all up. I'll match it to this hole on both sides. As which you can see here. Reinforce as necessary. Weld those new pieces back on before that cross member goes back in. Of course, I'll sling some paint on them to try to make it last a minute. The frame horn sections for the rear, this is going to go on the outside. I think as of right now, I'm just going to sandwich these to the outside. I'll decide, I'll make that decision after I get them cut out. It'll lessen the amount of work and it'll double the strength. The only thing I don't like is that sandwiches steel in between, and well, moisture, condensation, things like that, it all rusts and it creates problems. But it may not be my problem for several years. I added these additional holes, and these are going to be what they refer to as plug welds. And these are just, I'm just going to spot weld these holes straight to the outer section of the frame horns in the back. That's the plan. That is kind of a factory hole. That is a factory hole. I will seal it. I oversize those, so I will seal those. And then, of course, this is where those bushings go in for the rear spring hanger. You can see one there. I've got the ends taped off. They're pretty pitted, but there's still a lot of material left. Let me show you the other one. Here it is. Paint's kind of drying on it. It's not going to be perfect, but I did at least try to tape off the areas that's going to get welded. So there's a layer of protection there. Here's the outer frame horn sections. I've got my first coat of paint on them. I'm going to let that flash off. There's the cross member. I added a little bit more. Remember, there was that old rusty flat. Had a bunch of flaky rust in there. Got that all cleaned out. Got some paint on it because it's going to get sandwiched. Excuse me. It's going to get sandwiched in there. Even though I'm going to weld to it and it's going to burn that back, it's perfectly fine. At least it's got something in there. Same thing here. I'm not going to worry about necessarily repairing these thin areas, because when I put that other piece on there, I'm just going to sandwich it all down or hammer it all down nice and flat, and then I'm going to weld it 3 sides, maybe 4. I don't know. I'm going to weld it in some fashion on both sides. I've also got these pieces, which is what I was just talking about. These are going to get added to that to strengthen that back up and kind of mimic its original appearance. Same thing with this one, so we got a left and a right. Got first coat of paint on those. I'm going to let that flash off just a little bit. Take me a short break. Next big step is I got to get back there and I need to clean up that frame with a wire wheel. Clean it all up, figure out what I'm going to remove as far as bad stuff, and maybe try to get some paint on that. It's going to suck trying to weld over that paint, but it needs something. Alright, so I made my run to town. Got the hardware that I needed and allowed the paint to dry. I did a little bit of stuff to kind of jazz it up just a little bit so it doesn't look as crappy as it did. Let me show you what's going on there. And I'm going to do more. Just for now, this is good enough for now. So I wire wheeled a bunch of stuff best that I could. Slapped some paint on some pieces and parts. Kind of, like I said, jazzed it up a little bit. Did a little pre-painting on the frame. I've got this piece set up in there, and I think I'm pretty close to start tacking it. I'm not real happy with that fit up there, but I don't want to slide that hole back any further. I'm going to have to slide that bushing through there, or that sleeve through there, to see how well it lines up. But so far, pretty happy with it. I'll still have to make this underneath piece, and I'm probably going to add one on top just to strengthen that up and tie everything together. But that's where we're at, making progress. this is where we're at. Got me a top piece made, some plug holes, bottom section made. I still have to attach that section right there, you can see, and I'll have to continue that after I get this rear bumper section right here removed. I don't like it, it's been up, I've been thinking about it, but I can't remove it. I can't remove it until I get my cross member back in there, and then I'll go for it. So I gotta make 2 more of these, one for the top, one for the bottom, and then I've got a like a fish plate that's gonna tie in this splice on the inside where it's actually more of a butt weld. Outside it's a fillet weld, so I'm gonna leave that. I'm not gonna worry about reinforcing it, and that should be it. So let me show you what's going on over there, and then I'm gonna get at it. Alright, that thing right there, same as that one. That's going to take care of that on the inside where I butt welded that new section of frame rail in. Got these 2 pieces marked out. That's going to be my top and bottom. This is going to be the driver's side frame rail. It's going to match the passenger. That's the idea. So this is yet to still go in. I'll put this in after the rest of the pieces are made. I still have to weld in those pieces here. So this is basically what these are going to do right here, and they're going to make up, you know, they're going to repair what was there and make it better. We are making progress. I had to go to town. I may have said this earlier, to get some hardware, some bolts and stuff, some washers to complete the body mount, because the kit that I got was missing some stuff. So let me show you some pieces. Let me show you what I got. So these pieces drop down through the body bushings, and you can buy them. I was hoping most of them was in pretty good shape. I've got 4 that are in good shape, and I had 1 that did not turn out so good. Basically, the sleeve completely rotted off or rusted off of it, but the disc is still pretty good. So I'm going to clean it up. Let me show you what it is. Alright, so here's this one. I got to clean it up. It seems to be in okay shape. It's got some thick scale in here I'll clean out, but it doesn't have that sleeve, that centering sleeve. So I lucked out and I found me some 3/4 inch OD tubing at the local hardware store or Tractor. It's a Rural King, not a Tractor Supply. Rural King. It's very close to what the original was. About the same thickness, a little bit smaller diameter, but should work, and should work just fine, and it's going to be better than nothing attached to that. Now, if I come across a couple, when I check the others, because I still got 2 more I have to remove, and there's probably another one that's still sitting under the frame. If they're no good, then I do have some hardware that I can recreate that without a whole lot of effort, and it's going to serve the same purpose, and that's just the way it's going to work out. It'll serve the same purpose and do the job that I need it to do, and that's exactly what we're looking for on that. Back, it's another day, a new day. Some junk up my nose. Anyway, I've been at this thing pretty hard, a little bit today. And then a couple days ago, I took a couple days off, just because we're right here at the holidays. But let me show you some of the progress that I've made. Mind you, the paint it is wet because I just got done hitting it with a coat, just to make it look better and cut down on that rust. So let me show you what we got going on. All right, here we are. Cross member is back in and located. Seems to be pretty close to where it needs to be. Frame rail sections are all made up with the exception of the tail end. I wanted to get that cross member in there to kind of lock everything back in place. Then I'm going to finish removing this rear, I don't know what you call it, but it has something to do with the body and the back of the frame. I'm probably going to make something new, but new frame section. Well, let me get some light on it. New frame section there. It's a little hard to see, but it's all in. We added some additional reinforcement right there because it was kind of thin. Same thing there. On the inside, I did kind of a, get some light here. I basically just butt welded it in. The outside, I sandwiched in, making the frame a little stronger on the outside than on the inside, but it's all new material, so it's going to be as stronger than it was. It should be as good as it was from factory. Let me show you the outside. Alright, this side looks just like the other side. You can see where it was sandwiched in there. I've still got to put the bushings in. I'm trying to come up with a good solution there because they're just a little on the short side the way I had to do the frame. We are moving along. Looks about the same on the other side. I'll show you what's going on. Alright, this side is in as well. All boxed and welded. It's going to need some more some more paint. Got the top side reinforced as well. Finished boxing it in. Remember, I had some thin areas and some factory holes that were way too thin and larger than they should be, so that's why I added that strap in. There's the lower strap I added in. Same thing on the other side. I already showed that to you. Just because it was thin right there in that area. Cross member is back in. We are finally making some progress moving forward. Oh, let's see. Today is Christmas Eve. I've worked as late as I can possibly work this morning. Got some family activities. Want to wish everybody a wonderful and Merry Christmas. And if you can find some time, get out there and work on those projects. But I don't blame you for hanging out with the family. Mine were just kind of chilling, so made use of my downtime so I'm not sitting around eating and watching TV. But anyway, want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And if I don't get you another video out before New Year's, I want to wish you a Happy New Year as well. So appreciate everybody, appreciate all the new subscribers, appreciate your patience with me. It's tough to get the content out in a timely manner. By the time you see this video, more than likely you're going to see the other one from the 73 Ford. So until then, thanks for watching.